Hello everybody. I thought we'd have a quick look at making some drones on the Digitone II. Some people saw my last video, which I'll put a link to. Should come up on the screen. But I'm going to start building a new track as well. So just thought we'd kind of go through some of that process, see where we go. There'll be a little bit of fiddling, a little bit of stuffing about, but let's have some fun and make some weirdness. So my process is on the Elektron gear simply just to kind of build things in patterns. I know that's probably a little bit naughty. Instead of kind of making new songs each time or going to new banks or anything like that. But I tend to play and improvise just around individual patterns, so muting sounds, using control all, those sorts of techniques, which allows me just to sort of work within a single pattern. And if you've listened to any of my work, it's simply slow and long and drawn out, and so I can get away with doing a lot less inside each pattern. So instead of kind of changing patterns or building through that, I tend just to build inside a single pattern, predominantly. Okay, what I'm going to do here, because this will end up turning into a whole track, I hope, is I'll have my percussion on the bottom row, and then I'll have my kind of droney synth sounds on the top. So I'm going to start with a drone because that's why you're here. So let's go with that. So make sure I'm on track 1. Go into the keyboard. I want to go into the keyboard setup and just work through this. So going through and choosing a particular scale, choosing my root note. Because I want to be playing things low, I'm going to choose in the 3 scale. And let's go with the G. And the other thing I like to do is turn the keyboard fold on, because what this does is this lets me have my octaves, and I can octave jump pretty quickly and just see how the sounds are working at different octaves as it goes through. And obviously there's the transpose over here, so I can go up and down. So we'll start at G3 and we'll see how that goes. Okay, cool. So starting off on that track 1, let's choose a machine. I don't want that. No, let's go here and choose a machine, and that's really what I want to do. So we're going to go with FM tone. So with the drones, I'm really looking at how to create multiple layers, multiple textures happening predominantly in the same sound or in the same track, and then using the tracks to be able to kind of build through the frequency spectrum of the layers. So let's start with FM tone. And you know, like my FM knowledge is very rudimentary. Even my approach here, or my knowledge here of the Digitone voice is rudimentary, so it's just going to be lots of playing around and sort of seeing what happens. So let's start with this. Okay. So let's bring up the level of the other operators, just so we know what they're going to sound like. So that's A and that's B, and you can see this is where I'm sitting in terms of the FM algorithm. And what this is also going to mean is I can change algorithms and listen to what they're going to do. Right. And every time that I'm kind of going through this, I'm working out and I'm listening for things that I could modulate. And you know, like this, the harmonics, the detuning, the feedback. And the X and Y. being able to go through those two voices. So these are the spaces that I'm really kind of looking at modulating the most. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go down an octave. Yeah, so that's... So I found with the harmonics, it's either very, very, very slow, gradual modulation, if you kind of do this, or it's stepping. So putting like a random LFO on there at a slow speed and letting it kind of step from one thing to another. Or even like a reverse saw, so it goes up and then drops. All right, let's... So this is kind of cool. So with the Bs, it's given me quite a good range of timbre in between the X and Y. And then the feedback's kind of coming in with lots of fun. Detuning. Alright, let's jump to another page because that's kind of a bit of a happy place. And I know that when I put a trig down, I can set the trig to infinite length, but instead I really look more at holding the note for a longer period, because for me it tends to get really, really kind of dense, and I like that at the end of the pattern, sometimes there can be a bit of a drop, so some sounds will fall off. Instead of going, you know, the whole kind of way. So having this little bit of extra modulation in here with the envelopes for the different operators is another opportunity for sound changes over time. So let's have that, so that it's going to go. Cool, let's just get into the amp with a bit of release just so that we can hear that stage. Cool. Just a little bit of this, just to get those oscillators beating against each other. And if plus 0.002 there, let's drop down the B. So you can hear those oscillators beating against each other. Let's just just adding a whole extra layer of movement. All right, let's set some other stuff up just to really kind of get this going well. So send effects, let's, yeah, something like that. And cross and lots of wide and make it a bit darker. Let's just go silly on the reverb and same, drop it down. Okay. All right, and chorus, super slow, depth, fully wide, bit of high pass, filter, and then let's go in and see where we're going. So I know I've heard it said before that, you know, bit crushing and sample reduction, or bit reduction and sample reduction are kind of like the most simplest thing to implement in a digital framework. That's why you see a lot of Eurorack modules that have got, you know, sample rate or bit crushing as a part of it. But how good does it sound? I mean, and this. So good. So again, looking for things that I can modulate as I'm going through. So I'm not going to jump to there just yet, but let's jump into the filter. And let's just try a couple of others. Low pass 4, yes. And that's just because it's awesome. Let's just try a comb filter and see what that does to everything. Oh my goodness. And let's just stop for a moment and appreciate that. So what's happened is just through inside the synth voice, I've got a lot of movement going on without actually modulating anything. So if we've got this filter that's going on and, you know, like looking at the low pass filter to modulate, to be able to sort of get some tones, let's just jump back here. let's start with the harmonics. Yes, and slow. And I'm not so worried about keeping it in time. I just want it to sound pretty organic. And let's try with a large amount, but it's going slow. And let's hit the random and then slew the hell out of that. So it's a smooth, random wave. And while that's going, let's just check some other things. Yes, please. Okay, so next one, let's just get the feedback. And random, slower, and let's do lots. Yeah, slower. And less. And let's see what our low pass filter is going to do here. It's a bit hard because, I mean, some panning would be amazing on this, but I might actually just do panning onto the next voice. That might be the next video. Maybe, let's see. If I timestamp it, you can jump to this. So let's hit here. Let's do that because that felt really nice as I was just making small changes. And that sort of speed. And negative. And, oh, I'm sorry, let's that's a good number. Okay, the last thing before I sequence this is going into Unison and turning that on and adding a few voices. Like there's no way I'm going to use up all 16 voices on here in making a track. So I might do a drum, a snare, hi-hat, and then, you know, 3 or 4 drones. So I'm not worried at all about taking a unison in this and taking 3 voices, because if I put a bit of spread on that, and then let's listen to this. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's just set this up. So yes, per track, and this, and that. And that's my track 1 ready to go. And go into here and first turn it on, trig. I think we're there, and let's put a length on. So like I know I can go to infinite and I can have this, but there might be a point at the end of the 8, whatever these are, 8 bars, that it will drop off, and that'll give room for other bits and pieces to go. So let's go. Let's just drop that a little bit, and then so that's just going to reset that back to what it was without the sample rate reduction going on. And that's it. There's a drone. I'll do part 2. We'll add another one, and then we'll add a kick drum. Thanks for watching. How are you making drones? Put it in the comments, and then let's talk it through over the next video, and show me some things to try. I went into Store DJ in Sydney. I mean, I'm a long, long way away from that. So it was a very novel thing to be able to go into a music store and try a piece of hardware. And I pretty much kind of did this just on this machine in Store DJ, and that sold me on it, to be able to have that level of editing, modulation. The effects just sound beautiful, and we can make very, very big, complex, multi-layered drones just using a single voice. I was sold. What an amazing machine. Let's play it out. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Bye.